Hey guys, welcome back to an episode of Ticket Tuesday. I'm Return Tim HD, and this is a special edition. This drive-in edition.
Excuse me, Laurie.
Is this?
I'm sorry, Mr. Brackett.
Oh, I didn't
Shit.
mean to start.
Okay, I'll talk over it. You guys don't hear that. This
No,
is
it's Halloween.
1978 John
I guess
Carpenter
everyone's
classic,
got one.
Halloween. I'm sure you heard of it. Look, we're at the drive-in. Look at that screen right there. It's beautiful. It's Jamie Lee Curtis, young Jamie Lee Curtis, Scream Queen. Yes, very good film. I will tell you why this film is a classic back at the house.
All right. The boogeyman can only come out on Halloween night, right?
Right.
Well, I'm here tonight. I'm not about to let anything happen to you.
Oh, God, help me, please!
Hey guys, we're back to an episode of Ticket Tuesday, but this time special drive-in edition. I am your host, Tim HD, and this week we watched the 1978 John Carpenter classic starring Jamie Lee Curtis, Halloween. Of course, I don't think I need to explain to you why this film is so legendary. At least I shouldn't have to explain why this film is such a legendary classic. It truly paved the way for slashers into the future, and it truly was a true masterclass in horror, tension, and build-up. A true by the master of horror, John Carpenter. Absolute classic. I'm not gonna explain the story to you because everybody knows the story to Halloween. I don't think I need to explain to you the story of Halloween. So instead, I'm going to show you why I like the film and the aspects of the film that I thought were really, really enjoyable, such as, just the whole presentation of Michael. And the whole story of it felt more grounded, because, obviously Michael was treated as this monster, like the embodiment of evil, the shape, the boogeyman, right? He is this, unthinkable, like he's this undying force, this immovable object, right? He is truly like the shape of fear, right? He is the boogeyman. So I love how in this film, he's abstracted by darkness. You barely see him, you see his shape, And I think that's really, really fucking good. It's because, as I said before, it just perfectly builds up the mystique of Michael's character, the fear factor of Michael's character, to where you can't quite make him out. Like, he looks human, but he's not, right? Like, Michael just truly, he just feels not right. Like, there's something not right about him, obviously, but it just, like, the lighting just adds to it. And plus, obviously, the amazing performance from Jamie Lee Curtis's Laurie also helps, because, Scream Queen, it's Jamie Lee Curtis. What can I say about Jamie Lee Curtis? Jamie Lee Curtis. But, yeah, then, even more to that, which adds to all that, is that, as I said, it's grounded, because this is a slasher film, but he doesn't go on like a 15, 20, 30-person massacre. He does go on a killing spree, but he only kills, like, I want to say, 3, 4 people, right? I mean, maybe he kills more later, but in this film itself, he only kills a handful of people, right? And I think that grounds it more, even though Michael's literally like this unkillable, like, boogeyman. It makes him believable as that, because he doesn't murder, like, a whole crowd of people. He kills a couple people in this respective, like, block, like, literally in the streets across, like, from across the street, right? Like, literally across the street. And I think it's just really interesting to see Michael, like, driving a car and, stalking people in the daylight, and seeing Michael just out and about, right? I think that's really cool that the newer Halloween films don't really do. Seeing Michael as something that is just quite not human, but seems to be human, but just isn't. It's really interesting. And another thing that I would like to mention about Michael and not being human, which really adds to it, which I mentioned earlier, is the darkness. Now, the darkness of the film doesn't just add to the mystique and the fear of Michael's character, it really also adds to the whole aesthetic, the whole vibe of the film, in which you can't see shit, but it's not like an Alien versus Predator problem, where in Alien versus Predator you couldn't see shit and it was a bad thing. In this film you can't see shit and it's a good thing, because you're not supposed to see shit, because it, you know, it's the whole idea of the fear of the unknown, right? Like, your brain fills in the blanks. When your brain fills in the blanks, it, like, thinks of really scary things that, you know, makes you paranoid. It makes you tense. It makes you on edge, which is the point of the darkness, to say that, oh, Michael could be there. He could be there. He could be anywhere, and he could jump out and attack somebody. He could jump out and attack Laurie at any second. And the whole film builds up the tension of, you know, where is Michael? What is he doing now? And it's, like, brilliant at doing that. And I truly believe that that is one of the film's strong suits, is the tension, is the buildup, is the dread of where Michael could be this time, right? Of who he could be looking to be his next victim, right? You know, what, you know, cruelties he could do next, what brutality he could showcase. And I think that that is truly amazing. But I think one of the things that adds to the dread and the horror is not just the lighting, but I think another thing that complements the lighting and the horror and the tension and the buildup and all that is the soundtrack. Now, obviously, I couldn't go with I couldn't review a John Carpenter film without mentioning the music. I mean, obviously, I think John Carpenter is a legendary composer. He has created the Halloween theme, obviously, probably one of the most iconic horror movie themes even in the history of film. I'm pretty sure that I would call him a legendary composer after that. But even then, even the even that, like, that's not even, like, one of the best tracks from the soundtrack, but it's like there's other really good tracks too, like the whenever they discover a corpse, or whenever Michael's in the background, like, it perfectly, like, it like makes you sit up, right? It makes you jump, but it in a good way. You know, it makes you like, oh shit, something's going on. Because if you don't notice something at first, the film plays that sound effect to make you look around, right? And then you'll spot Michael. Like, that's the really cool bit about it. And obviously, when there's a corpse, like, it also makes you on edge, because it's like, oh shit, Michael's somewhere, right? Because when that sound plays, you know Michael is near, right? Which is great. It's a great way to establish Michael's presence. And obviously, the film is just amazing at all of that. Just brilliant soundtrack, brilliant lighting, and brilliant just everything, really. Like, the film is truly I feel like really helped pave the way for slashers. This and Texas Chainsaw really, you know, helped pioneer that genre, in which Friday the 13th popularized. But Friday the 13th would not exist without, you know, Halloween and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But I think this film really inspired at least Friday the 13th Part 2 with Jason, because, you know, the slow, lumbering, you know, kind of immortal type slasher came from Halloween. Because even though Texas Chainsaw invented the slasher genre, Leatherface was shown to not be invincible in that movie, right? He was just, you know, stronger than these random kids who probably wouldn't be able to put up a fight, which makes sense. He wasn't invincible, and they showed that. But anyway, getting a little off track here. So let me get back to the music, guys. I missed a little thing. One thing I wish to mention. So, one more thing I'd like to mention about the soundtrack is, obviously, I talked about when to play the soundtrack, and how great the soundtrack is in parts of the movie, and how great the soundtrack is in general. But I think the soundtrack is good at knowing when to play it, and also when not to play it. Because I personally believe that silence in a scene can really add a lot of tension. It can add a lot of build-up, and it can add a lot of dread, because it lets the scene linger. It lets the scene get in your head, and music could really, like, kind of force it down your throat to the point where you're like, oh, this is kind of forced, right? But if it's silent, as I said, it lingers, and it, like, lets it sit, and it sits, and it, like, your, like, heart sinks, and you're, like, sitting there, like, oh my god, what's gonna happen, right? And you're on the edge of your seat again, and it really, and there's a brilliant scene when Michael kills Bob and I forgot the other girl's name. Sorry, but he kills Bob and the other girl, and when he kills Bob, he impales him to the wall, and he's just like he like looks at the knife and he looks up at him, and like there's a really good shot of him in the doorway and the moonlight coming through the window being the only light you can see, and it's really really good shot, but not just a shot that's really good, but the quietness of this scene. It's just the quiet sounds of the night, and it's barely anything. You can hear a little bit of ambience, but that's it. And it lingers. The scene lingers for a long time. And talking about lingering, he then pretends to be Bob by taking his glasses and putting a sheet over it and going to Bob's girlfriend. And he just kind of sits in the doorway and stares at her for like an uncomfortably long amount of time. And it just lingers, and he keeps staring at her, and she's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, respond to me, talk to me. And Michael's just staring a hole through her, right? And eventually she goes to the phone, and she's going to call Lori, and then Michael just starts strangling her and killing her, and like she's like choking and struggling and like gasping for air. And while she's doing that, there is no music. There's no really intense music. It's just the labored breathing, and then there's Lori on the other side of the phone, like, what are you doing? Like, what's going on? Are you messing with me? You know what I mean? And it just really helps add to the eeriness and the disturbing nature of the scene, because she's literally being strangled to death. And it, like, as I said, it sits, and it goes on for a long time. And then Michael kills her, and then he picks up the phone, and he puts it up to his head, and Lori, like, just hangs up. But, man, really, really good scene. Probably one of, if not my favorite scene in the movie, just because of how well it's put together. And, yeah, as I said, great film. Absolute masterclass. So, overall, from the stuff that I've said, obviously there's a lot of great things about this film that I couldn't just list here, but from what I've said in this review, great soundtrack, great visuals, great, shots, great, great tension, great build-up, great dread, great horror, and overall just a great horror film, a great thriller, and with all that, would I recommend this film? Of course I fucking would. Are you even listening? And by the way, if you haven't seen this movie yet, you've really been missing out. Like, you gotta see this movie, like, immediately. Like, maybe on Halloween night before Halloween, you gotta, like, get together, get a friend, get somebody, and just watch this movie. Get spooked, I know I might have spoiled a lot for you, but it'll still be enjoyable, I swear. And overall, definitely recommend it. Even by yourself. Maybe even be better by yourself. Just watch it. Overall, definitely recommend. And while this film is obviously not perfect, I feel like most films are not, but overall this is damn close. So I rate this film a 9 out of 10. Absolute masterpiece. And so yeah, I think I've said everything I need to say. I think I've said my piece. So guys, hope you like this video. Share, friends, subscribe, turn notifications on. Comment about how much you liked it. But you guys know how these videos go. I didn't really mean to say that. What I really meant to say was I hope you guys hated this video. Unsubscribe, dislike, but you hate me in the comments. And I've been Runtime HD, slashing off. Sorry, John Carpenter, if that was terrible. I apologize. I'm sorry.